In today's episode, from dealing with bullying in high school to successfully pitching his company on CBC's Dragon's Den, where he was able to secure a deal with 2 dragons for his business for good.
From Blue Tribe Media, this is the Good Business Podcast, the show where we talk to business leaders, social entrepreneurs and innovators about aligning profit with purpose and how you can make doing good, good for business. Now here's your host, James McGregor.
So my guest today is Dr. Gavin Armstrong, who's a committed impact entrepreneur. He's currently serving as the founder and president of the Lucky Iron Fish Enterprise. It's a social enterprise attempting to alleviate iron deficiency around the world using a really simple health innovation. So whilst the innovation behind Lucky Iron Fish is one of my favourite case studies in how to commercialise university research, it's actually Gavin's journey from severe bullying to the founding of a social enterprise aiming to solve the issue of malnutrition that's really the real inspiration of today's episode. So we talk about how bullying shaped his path towards social entrepreneurship, how Lucky Iron Fish's first product failed and how they overcame these challenges, and ultimately created a business model for global distribution. Let's check it out. So if I went through and read off the list of all the various awards that you've won, and you've even been on Shark Tank, I see, I'd probably be here all day, but what I'm really interested in is understanding what's the backstory. Where's this passion for social enterprise or social impact come from?
So it's a long story, but to try and make it a bit more concise, when I was in high school, like many people, I experienced bullying, and I was bullied pretty severely, and it pushed me into a pretty dark place. When I went to university, I wanted to be a banker because I thought that if I could make a lot of money, I would somehow create value for myself, and I would be able to prove the bullies wrong. However, when I went to university on that path, I was pretty miserable. And I couldn't figure out why, but nothing really seemed to be lining up. I ended up taking a chance trip to Botswana, where it was my first time leaving North America, and I saw some incredible things, but it was also my first time seeing abject poverty up close. And I thought, when I came back from that trip, why am I on such a selfish trajectory to try and prove some bully wrong who I'm never going to see again, when this kind of issue exists in the world? And so that's when I reevaluated my priorities and decided that I wanted to make a living by doing good and helping solve some of the world's most greatest challenges.
Yeah, awesome. So what did you do next? So once you made that decision, and what was the first thing that you did?
So I became engaged with hunger-related issues on campus. And I signed a university up to be a part of an international program that it connects university students who are fighting world hunger. Did some volunteer work. I organized multiple food packing events, which actually got into the Guinness Book of World Records. And through those experiences, I ended up volunteering for fundraising initiatives in Dadaab and refugee camps in northern Kenya. And when I was there, I learned more about the issue of hidden hunger, which is malnutrition. And at the time, about 800 million people were going to bed every night hungry, but 2 billion people were going to bed every night malnourished. So it was this massive problem that was actually getting worse. And of all of the challenges with hidden hunger, iron deficiency was the largest issue. It was impacting a third of the world's planet. Rates had been increasing since the year 2000, and it seemed like traditional approaches were not working. So I, again, some chance encounters, chance trips, ended up in Cambodia doing research on a product which is now called the Lucky Iron Fish.
Great. And was that research part of your PhD?
It was, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And so tell us about Lucky Iron Fish. How did that come about? So you were testing this product, but where did the idea of Lucky Iron Fish come from?
So the Lucky Iron Fish is a simple cooking tool that can fortify your meal with your daily required iron intake. It doesn't change the taste, color, or smell of the liquid it is cooked in, and it can be reused by an entire household for up to 5 years. So when you compare that to more traditional approaches, it is much more sustainable and affordable. The research started by cooking with an iron disc, and though it was scientifically effective to add this special disc to your cooking pot, women in Cambodia thought it looked like a piece of garbage, and so nobody wanted to cook with it because it, looked like a piece of trash. But after some research, it was discovered that the symbol of a fish is a symbol of luck in Cambodian culture. So by shaping the disc like a fish, women wanted to cook with it because they thought it would bring luck to their household. And when they felt healthier and they stopped having headaches or other signs of iron deficiency, they said it was the fish, and it was the luck of the fish that was helping them. So that's where the name Lucky Iron Fish comes from.
Yeah, so I think that's really important. So we, I think I mentioned to you, we run an entrepreneurship program for PhD students, and we use this as a case study around making sure you understand the customer in designing your solution. So you might have a great scientific solution that on paper solves the problem you think you're trying to solve, but if you don't get end users to actually adopt your solution, and in this case, you start off with this iron disc that no one wanted to use. So how did you mentioned that you did through some research, you discovered this fish symbol. How did that actually transpire? So did you actually actively go out with these communities trying to figure out why they weren't using it? How did the idea of the fish symbol even come up?
Yeah, there was a student, Chris Charles, who was doing trial and error. So they were, after the disc wasn't working, there were multiple attempts to use other shapes, lotus flowers, multiple different kinds of fish, but ultimately landed on a cantrop fish, which is known in Cambodian culture. Certain design elements were made to it to make it look friendly. It has a smile on it. And that's ultimately how the shape came to be about. So it was just a lot of trial and error.
Right. Okay. So once you had you've identified a solution, you were getting some uptake from the the communities that you're wanting to adopt this. How did you turn that into a business? You've still got to bring in revenue. You've got to keep the lights on. You've got to be able to actually pay to deliver this impact. How did the Lucky Iron Fish enterprise come up, and where did you start with that?
So when I first commercialized the company, I actually thought it would only be in Cambodia. I thought this was a great solution for Cambodia. It's where the research was being done, and that's where the business activity should be. So invested some money in a sales strategy there, hired some staff, tried to do some door-to-door sales and sell to organizations. And it really wasn't working for multiple reasons. It was very difficult to try and convince someone to try an innovative approach to improving their health when the main solution, iron supplement pills, were being given out for free by the government and have been used, since anyone can remember. But at the same time, when that was not going well, I was speaking about the Lucky Iron Fish at conferences around the world and presenting the research. And often people would come up to me after I would present and say, I have iron deficiency. Can I buy one for myself? I would love to use this product. So that's when I realized that there was global demand for the Lucky Iron Fish. So I came back to Canada, rejigged the business model and did an e-commerce route. So we sell the fish online to consumers around the world. And if you buy one for yourself, we commit to take funds from each sale to help donate free units to families in need around the world. So it was a way that we could sell to those who could afford it and donate to those who couldn't.
Right. So you used a buy one, give one type model. Yeah. Is that still the model you're using today?
So the model is there. It definitely has evolved since the beginning. We now take a more holistic approach to how we give. So it's not just free units, but we also support the distribution of those units. That could be the shipping cost, educational programs around healthy eating and proper nutrition, research for iron deficiency, or providing diagnostic equipment to our partner organizations. So we take a much more holistic approach to how we donate.
Right. And what's Lucky Iron Fish look like, or Lucky Iron Fish Enterprise look like today in terms of size and scale?
So we're a small but mighty company. We've got eight employees, but the fish is available in 66 countries around the world. We've sold over 150,000 units, and through both sales and impact activity, have helped improve the lives of an estimated 850,000 people around the world.
Awesome. Small but mighty. I like that. So do you? I know you do a lot of work with universities. Do you actually? How do you go through and measure your impact?
So we've actually, how we measure our impact has evolved over the years. Primarily, the focus has been on the health outcomes themselves. So if we're doing clinical trials, we're able to evaluate the improvement of iron status for a user. But we do want to think about the impact we have throughout the business. So we are a B Corp, and so we do go through the B Corp assessment and audit process every 2 years. And I'm really proud to say that since we became a B Corp, we've been ranked in the best for the world. So in the top 10% of B Corps internationally since the beginning. So it really demonstrates that we're committed to having an impact throughout the supply chain. We have an employee whose focus is on our impact activity, and we're actually developing a new impact assessment now for communities where we work, because we want to measure not only the health improvement of the communities, but also the economic improvement, because we know iron deficiency prevents families from earning to their full potential. And so by using the fish, we want to know how that's helping households from both a health and economic impact.
Yeah, awesome, great. So how did you fund Lucky on Fish when you started? I know you successfully pitched into the Dragon's Den, but where did you raise the capital, or did you bootstrap it?
Yeah, I mean, Dragon's Den was a great experience, but it was only recently, that in 2018. So I commercialized the company in 2012. We were funded at the beginning through some grant funding, both by the University of Guelph and by Grand Challenges Canada, which is a federally funded organization here in Canada. I have now, however, started going through the traditional investment route. We just completed a seed round earlier last year, and are doing a more traditional venture investment, so we can demonstrate that we are a legitimate for-profit company that's committed to doing good.
And how have you found the investment landscape around? There's been, I guess, a boom of for-purpose social enterprises over the last few years. How have you seen the response in terms of the investment community around the social purpose or social impact aspects of the business?
For me, it's really important that social enterprises are held to the same standard as a traditional business. I don't think that we deserve special treatment because we have a social mission. If we're trying to demonstrate that investing in social companies is going to be just as successful as demonstrating in a more traditional business, we have to be held to the same standards and same accountability. So it's tough, but I think that's a good thing. The challenge helps strengthen us. So I'm happy with the pool of investors we've gathered so far. We'll be doing another investment round soon, and I'm looking forward to continuing to tell our story to funds around the world and getting more investment into our company.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a really important point about social enterprises, or even for-profit businesses with a purpose, still being held to the same standard, because without profit, you don't have the resources to deliver on the impacts, right? So making sure your business model is strong and that you can bring revenue in the door, because that revenue provides you the capacity to deliver on the social mission. So I think that's a really important point for people to understand. So if someone out there was listening was thinking about launching a new enterprise or a new business, or they had an idea around making the world a better place, what's one piece of advice that you would give someone like that?
I think it's really important to learn from your mistakes and learn from your failures, because they're inevitable. They're going to happen. But if you can learn from them, it'll provide you an opportunity to actually strengthen what you're doing and become more resilient. So when we had an iron disc that no one wanted to cook with, we could have given up. But after some research, we developed the fish shape, which is now internationally known and has won awards around the world. When the business model in Cambodia wasn't working, we could have given up, but instead we listened to the demand and created this direct-to-consumer company, which is now sold over 100,000 units globally. So it's all about listening and learning to your mistakes, because those are going to be, I think, the most rewarding learning issues and pieces of feedback that you can have.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a mantra that people, which I don't necessarily assign to around, fail fast in the startup world. I think it's learn fast and learn quickly, and design experiments to gather information as opposed to trying to do something to fail. But yeah, I think that's a really, really important piece of advice. What would you like people to do after listening to this and hearing your story?
Well, the Lucky Iron Fish makes a great gift if you know anyone who is iron deficient. So I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if I wasn't hoping that some people would go out and buy one for themselves, whether if it's because they have iron deficiency, know someone with iron deficiency, or because they want to support that impact model by helping distribute free units. But the other is look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. It's the world's most ambitious to-do list. And think about how you can play a small part in helping achieve those. Because if we don't come together as a global collective, the world's going to be in some serious trouble. So we need to work together to solve these problems.
Right. And if someone was looking to actually buy a Lucky Iron Fish for a friend or family member, how would they know if they were iron deficient? Are there things they should be looking for? There'll be obvious signs.
The main signs and symptoms of iron deficiency are pale skin, fatigue, headaches, dizzy spells. So a lot of people have those. Iron deficiency is quite common. It is predominantly seen in women and children. If you believe you have those signs, you can see a doctor. There's a simple blood test that can be done. But one of the benefits of the Lucky Iron Fish is because it releases a low level of iron that does not cause any side effects or raise the risk for toxicity, you can use it not only to treat iron deficiency, but to prevent iron deficiency as well. So even if you feel you're at risk of iron deficiency, if you're not sure if you have it, or if you've recently had it but are now okay, it's perfectly fine to use the Iron Fish on a daily basis to help boost your iron levels with that extra little bit of iron every day.
Awesome. And also help make the world a better place at the same time. So it's a double bonus. So not good segue. So if people wanted to purchase a Lucky Iron Fish, or they wanted to get in touch with what you guys are doing, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So luckyironfish.com is our website. So our confirmation, our contact information is on there, along with our shopping and shopping opportunities. The fish is available on multiple Amazon platforms around the world as well.
Right. So I certainly encourage people listening out there to, and we'll put those links on the show notes to actually support. This is one of my favorite stories, what you guys did around the startup and the impact that you're making. I think it's a really great template for anyone considering a social enterprise around having that for-profit model, just the way you went through the experimentation to develop a solution that people really wanted to use. So I'm really glad we got to have a chat today. But let's wrap up with the Mad Minute. So 5 questions, 60 seconds. So let's kick off. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice was that don't let your failures define you.
Yeah, good one. What about what's your favorite business book?
A business book, Conscious Capitalism.
Yeah, good one. Good choice. That's a popular one. Favorite business tool or resource for delivering impact through your business?
My team, honestly. I know it might be a bit cliche, but our team are committed people who are helping our impact globally.
Great. And what's your favorite quote?
Joey Adler said, never underestimate the power of one. One person has the ability to make a ripple effect that will change the world.
Awesome. And if you go back in time and give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would it be?
Stop complaining about insignificant things. Don't let external forces push you down. You will become more resilient. You will become stronger, and you will become a success.
You'll become small but mighty, hey?
Yeah.
Great. All right. So thanks for your time. I know it's a busy time for you. I think it's a great story. Encourage everyone to go out and get a Lucky Iron Fish or coming up to Christmas, maybe a Christmas gift. But look, thanks for your time, and we'll follow your success with great interest.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, mate. So that was Gavin Armstrong from the Lucky Iron Fish, which is one of my favourite case studies on making sure you understand your customers' needs when developing a solution to make a difference in the world. Originally, the Lucky Iron Fish, there was research that showed that using cast iron could help solve the problem of low iron levels. But the original product, no one wanted to use it. But when they spoke to those end users and customers and came up with the idea of the fish symbol, then the product really took off. So a really great example of adapting your business model and your product based on customer feedback. So if you've been inspired by today's episode and you've got a great idea to change the world, the first thing you need to do is actually get people to buy into your big idea. So to make things as easy as possible for you, we've put together a free ebook that you can access through the show notes. And the book's called Selling Sustainability. So it covers some of the behavioral science and neuroscience behind crafting a compelling message. And we'll give you a simple to follow 7-step fill in the box framework to help you craft a compelling message to get people to buy into your big idea to change the world. So speaking of show notes, if you want to access the show notes for today's episode, you can simply visit bluetribe.co/podcast and check out episode number 3. So I believe that sustainability is a team sport because the scale of the challenges that we all face are so large that none of us can do it on our own. So if you want to be part of Team Blue Tribe, you can actually help out simply by subscribing and leaving a rating for today's episode and tell other people about the podcast to get the word out there. Coming up in the next episode.
We fell into it. We didn't wake up one day saying we're going to save the world. We were actually asking the world to save us.
Our guest in the next episode effectively fell into the world of social impact after one of Australia's most powerful cyclones wiped out her local community. So make sure you listen to that one. Thanks for listening to the Good Business Podcast. I'm James McGregor. Until next time.